All right, ladies and gentlemen, so you clicked on this video because you want to see how to build a remote life insurance business. And today, I've brought one of the most premier experts in the space, father of the telesales movement in the insurance industry. He wrote a freaking book about it and has an agency that does over $30 million in premium with a few hundred agents, all remote and all over the phone. So, Jeff, welcome to the channel. I'm excited to have you here.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, for people that are watching this, I know for the longest time, like the way to do this business, and this is how I actually got started, is you go out, you get a bunch of leads, usually direct mail leads, and you start knocking on doors, right? And that was pretty much like the main thing that people did up until probably 2020, right? And then everyone was forced to shift over. You were doing something different quite a bit before that. Like, what was it initially, or when did you first kind of realize that like telesales was going to be the future?
So when I first got licensed, it was 2006, doing the face-to-face stuff, and about 7 or 8 months in, I bought a batch of leads, local leads,
Okay.
and I met with the business owner. Guy didn't want me to show up, and he said, "Hey, let's just handle this over the phone." And so when we did that, he sent the application back. It was one of the biggest apps I've written at the time. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, there's something here. And so I took the rest of the leads and I just tried to sell them over the phone. And back then you were just mailing applications, right? You had to mail the app for them to sign. And it's
That's
nothing like
insane.
it is today, right? And
Yeah.
so and so that's when I figured there's something there that people don't necessarily want to meet you face to face. And
Mhm.
and that was kind of where it clicked for me. And then from there, yeah, it kind of I worked over the phone since that day.
Yeah. So you started working over the phone and then I know you did a lot of like the digital nomad lifestyle, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
That's what got me into it. I read the 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss back
Yep.
then, and that's what kind of got me into digital nomad. And it's, I joined a entrepreneur group, digital nomad entrepreneur group at the time, and that's where I picked up marketing
Uh-huh.
skills because I had no marketing skills. And that's where I learned to generate leads, was hanging around in Bangkok and all these places around the world with these digital nomads, and just learning these little ninja hacks at the time, and it's so different right
Yep.
now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
everything's changed.
but that was that's how I got into marketing and generating my own leads. After that, selling over the phone, because then I was just buying leads, and back then buying leads was like shooting fish in a barrel. It didn't matter where you bought them; every lead was good. It hadn't caught
Mm.
on yet. So
Yeah.
yeah, now it's a lot different.
Yeah, the independent side has grown a lot so that the competition's definitely higher. Um so you kind of got in, you kind of found this whole telesales niche, started traveling. Obviously today you have like a big brokerage, digital BGA is massive. We sent a lot of agents over there in the past. How did you kind of go from, digital nomad, chilling in Bangkok, maybe like sitting on a beach in Phuket and making dials to building a massive business? Like what kind of led you to want to do that?
When I was selling over the phone, I had a blog.
Okay.
I'm not going to even say it because I haven't blogged on it since for a decade, right? And it people didn't believe what I was doing. Life insurance agents would
Hmm.
come and comment, but at that time, blogs were big. People were engaging in blogs. We didn't have a lot of the social media, and people just didn't believe me. And so I started a podcast. And that podcast was just to interview other agents that I knew, who I was, having calls with and learning with, and we're going through this together. And I interviewed them, interviewed some marketing, people, and did that for a few years. So just like, hey, I'm not crazy. This, you can hear from other people. And that kind
Hmm.
of led to like, okay, well, now how do you do it? And so I wrote the book in 2016, The Digital Life Insurance Agent. And then people just started reaching out to me, and I was like, all right, there's something here. And so at the time, I was a person, doing personal production, and selling over the phone, and it was, I just had too many people reaching out to me, and it got to the point where I built an agency, like a small downline. I think I had maybe 20, 30 agents, producing agents, and it was just us. And at one point, our IMO, they were paying our overrides as LOA, not from the carrier. They just decided to stop
Yep.
paying me. They're like, you know what? we're paying you way too much money every month. We're just going to stop. And that's when I decided, all right, um, got my partner at the time, and we met out in Austin at a
Mhm.
burger joint called Hop Dotty, and we decided to to start digital BGA at that
It's
point.
funny,
Where
I've been there.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
So started digital BGA, kinda sounds like the IMO you were with almost, like, forced you into it. They just, like,
it
screwed you
did.
guys over and stopped paying you out.
It was at the time it was very stressful. I thought you know the world was ending. It was,
Yeah.
I had a lot of money coming in that just got cut off overnight, and all my work was gone. And that was a wake up call that I have to own my own business here. I cannot have somebody else paying me commissions. I have to be with the carrier, direct with the carrier, and not let anybody decide my future here. So, yeah, we started Digital BGA, and that was in 2016.
Wow, and obviously it's grown since then. Um, so for someone that's watching this that they wanna live that lifestyle where, some people are like the digital nomad type, other people, they just wanna be able to, like, go to the beach on the weekend, or they wanna be able to kinda set their own schedule, or if they wanna go skiing, they can go skiing and they can work during the day and then ski, on the weekend or whatever. The remote lifestyle of not having to go into an office or go in person, what's the best way for somebody to start doing that and ultimately, like, see success with that type of a schedule and lifestyle?
Great question. Um, and I think it's different for everyone. I think what we've come to find is that every agent is different. They all have
Mhm.
different goals. Some, like you said, want to just work, part time, and then they maybe have kids or they have other things they want to do and sell as much as they can part time. Others really want to build a big business. Others want to recruit. Others, there's so many different paths, and it's hard for agents to kind of figure out what the right path is. And when we talk to new agents, it's we hear from so many different people that are doing different things. And so what we do is we're in a box. We're very specific, right? Life insurance over the phone from home. If you don't fit in
Mhm.
that box, there's no way for us to work together. Because yeah, could we help you do Medicare? And we do. Yeah, we can, but there's better people out there for that. You know,
Mhm.
and so as far as getting started, we narrow down what they're trying to do and make sure, like, hey, do you understand this business? This business is about investing in marketing. You're an entrepreneur. You have to spend money on leads. And if you don't have that, we'll show a couple strategies. We'll say, like, here's a couple things you can do. Are you willing to do that? And if it's no, then we move on to the next person, right? Because at the core of this, you have to spend money to make money. And as long as you understand that at the very beginning, you'll because I can go over, like, hey, yeah, plug into a community and training and get these, get the best leads and the best technology, and find that trainer that's going to make you a superstar. Yeah, that's all important. But at the core of it all, it's about and where agents typically fail is they don't invest enough in their business to buy enough leads to make this thing work.
Mm. 100%. So it's like before they can even think about, like, the action steps or what to do or how to get started, they have to have the mindset shift of, because a lot of people come from 9 to 5 jobs, or they have these employee mindsets when they come into the business, and, spending $1,000 on leads and not knowing for sure you're going to get a return is, it's like unfathomable to most people. And if they do that one time and it doesn't go, if they don't get like a 10x return, they're just completely down on themselves. Um,
I,
so it sounds like the first thing they need to do is just have that shift of, I'm not throwing money away, but I'm being a business owner, and you have to invest. You have to spend money to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you have to see, like, a lot of agents, they get emotional about buying leads, um, a lot of anxiety, and you have to have the mindset that it's an investment in your business, not a cost. And
Hmm.
and it's the driver of it all. And the reason why most agents don't make it is just because they don't have the money to invest in it, or enough money to invest in it. And a lot of it is expectation. So a lot of agents, you said, they don't get a 10x return. they're upset because they saw a guy on YouTube that said that they 10x'd their their marketing, so they think they should
Yeah.
too. But that's not. Um, I'm sure. And look, I know that happens, but it's not the norm, right?
Hmm.
That may be
It's
a
also
hot
not
streak.
on like a large scale. Like you're not
Yeah,
going to spend 100 grand on leads over the course of 2 years and 10x your investment, more than
yeah,
likely.
exactly. And so I think a lot of it is setting expectations for agents that like, hey, if you let's just say like you said you spent $1,000 in leads and the next week you have $1,001 in your bank account, consider that a win because you have a lot of opportunity in those leads that you purchased and the follow-ups, the people you haven't gotten a hold of yet, and you have to see that as an investment. So I think the
Hmm.
expectation is like, hey, investments take a while to grow. Your leads, you need to nurture them a while to see that total ROI. Yeah, you could probably, if I were to look back on an agent that really works their leads, I would say, yeah, there's agents out there that 10x all their leads after maybe a year or two, right? They've when you factor in referrals and things like that that they've gone from their rewrites, all that stuff. So expectations is big. So I think a lot of agents where they say like they spent 1,000 and they're like, I only made, I didn't make that much, but they don't realize like, hey, you have this asset now. Your database of leads and follow-ups, that is an asset that will
Yeah.
churn out money. And that's the kind of
Yeah.
mindset that you need in this business when you're selling over the phone from home. I mean, probably face to face too, but this is all I know.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Have you read the book Ready, Fire, Aim before? I'm
Yeah,
sure you probably have.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's kind of like a similar parallel for insurance agents and for people who don't have context. Ready Fire Aim is a book from this guy. It's talking about how to go from 0 to 100 million, right? Which I don't know any insurance agent that sells $100 million a year, but point aside, a lot of the lessons still bear true. Is like 0 to stage 1 is like how can you figure out how to sell and get a bunch of customers? And usually it's like you sell one product, one channel, one avatar, and then at a certain point, I mean, every time you buy leads, you're just building your list of customers.
yeah.
And once you have enough customers, then you can start to sell them other products and you can do different things and just boost the lifetime value of every person. But I think that's like, again, that's a business owner mindset. And I think it's something that a lot of agents do have to make that shift in order to see success in the industry. How do you help people make that shift? Like how do you make agents see that? Or is it just like they do or they don't?
I mean, number one, uh, we're up front from the very beginning. This is what it takes. And so we have a
Hmm.
filter of agents that come to us. And so if you don't meet these criteria, it's not going to work. We call it NGMI,
Hmm.
not going to make it. And 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 so we filter them out at the very beginning. They don't even onboard, they don't contract, they don't do anything.
Hmm.
And that's the that filters out a lot. So we work with people who are ready, who have the means to make this work, who have the drive to make this work, and then you get into training. And when I talk about training, I think it's important to hear from other people in the trenches doing what you're doing and connecting with those people and seeing their struggles and their wins. It's not just all wins, but those people that you see on leaderboards, they also have questions and struggles and issues in their business. And to be able to see that and be able to communicate with people who have gone through what you're about to go through, I think is important for agents, especially in telesales, because it's all. I mean, you could be delivered a script, and I'm sure the script, everybody has a great script. Everybody will tell you they have a great script, but really it's the person, their communication style, how they perform, how they are able to connect with people that really makes it. You can't just give you a script and you read it and you're going to make sales because of it. And so it's about the training and listening to other calls. Like, people perform the script differently, and
Mhm.
I think that's really important for agents to experience, so that they aren't surprised when they get on the phone and they know they have already expectations, hesitancies of the people they're calling, or who are calling them, things like that. So it's one, expectations, but also um, being in a community of people that are doing it and sharing. And I think that really helps agents kind of understand. Or else, if you're on an island by yourself, you're in an office, you're doing telesales, like it's lonely. Like sitting in your
Mhm.
office for 4 to 8 hours a day by yourself, and then the feelings you feel, the emotions you feel when you get those rejections or people not picking up or a chargeback or whatever it is. Like you need that community out there, and I think that's really important for telesales.
Yeah.
It's not talked enough, not talked about enough.
How do people go about having that community? Is it like a live dial Zoom room, or you just send like a group of people and you meet virtually, or what's like the best way to find that community?
Yeah, so daily Zooms that you connect into, and put agents on the hot seat and talk about their business, what's working for them, what's not working for them. You have script calls where you just we do that where we listen to calls together and we critique together what could have gone better, what could things like that. And you see the same people. You have your agent chat, of course, which everybody has, which is helpful and motivating when you see a lot of people putting up really good numbers. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, it's about just connecting into something daily, so you're not just by yourself, in your home office and waiting for a lead to come in, or you know, uh, the anxiety you're getting to push that submit button to buy that batch of leads. that,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%. So you've done a lot of traveling. You've worked from a lot of different places. What are your favorite places that you've been able to travel to and work from? Obviously, you're in France right now. I assume that's on the list.
yeah. So I live in the south of France right now. I moved here a few years ago. Make it back to Austin, where we're headquartered a few times a year for work. But I mean, all over. Mostly European countries, but like I said, over Asia, Thailand, um, uh, you know, all around the U.S. Um, you know, it's it's the cool thing about doing it out here, where I am in Europe, is I get my full day with uninterrupted work, and then while everybody's sleeping, when everybody's getting into the office around 8 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock p.m. my time, and I've already just crushed the day. Now I just got to jump on a bunch of calls, work with the team, training, things like that. So I have about 4 hours a day of just calls and that, and so you kind of get this lifestyle, this different lifestyle that for me it works, right? Because I get to take my kids to school, get to pick them up, get to do all that stuff before I even start, before everybody even starts their day. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so Europe, Asia. What was it like being on the phones and selling from Thailand? Because I did that for about a month. It was terrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, where we had great internet, and so in when I
I
did,
just mean the time zone.
yeah, that sucks. Yeah, the time zone's terrible. And when I did that, I didn't. So when I was in Thailand, I wasn't selling over the phone. I was mostly I was there for like a couple of weeks, and I some sales, but it wasn't full time selling.
Got it.
But where I would long travel, where I'd stay for months at a time, is mostly European countries.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did Spain for a few months, in 2024. I was in the Canary Islands, and, like, I experienced the same thing, like, the time zone's really nice because I don't like waking up early, but you just naturally are up earlier than
yeah,
everybody else, so you can get your own work done, and then you transition, and you have the meetings and everything, so that worked really well. I enjoyed that a lot.
yeah.
It's a huge thing. So transitioning from, like, you're a top producer, you can travel around, you can kind of live this lifestyle of going where you want, when you want, you don't have to show up to work, show up to an office. How do you kind of shift and get into building? Like, what's the best way to bring agents on? How do you find them? How do you train them? How do you turn them into producers?
I mean, I'm sure every agent watching this, they get blown up on their social media with DMs and emails in their inbox, and probably some texts and robocalls and things like that. It's tough out there. You kind of feel like a piece of meat, right? When you're an
Yep.
agent, and everybody's kind of trying to nibble at you and bring you into their
Mhm.
agency, right? And so um, to as far as us for bringing agents in, I think that's the core of your question. There is how we get it, how we go about that. Right now, it's mostly word of mouth. um, because we've been around for a while, and because I had the book, right? And so I, and at and at some point you start making carrier trips, and you start meeting a lot of agencies and agents on these carrier trips, and you just form relationships with them. And we do events a couple times a year where we meet people, and it's not, well, before last year we were doing events every year for the industry, not just for digital BGA.
Hmm.
That was a big piece of it. YouTube right now, our YouTube channel is where we get the most people reaching out to us. Um, and yeah, I mean, it constantly changes. For our call centers, we have a call center in Austin and Charlotte. We're just on Indeed and ZipRecruiter, and paying them to get people locally, to interview with us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it sounds like a lot of like attraction based recruiting. It seems like you're not personally in Facebook groups DMing people and trying to get
No,
them to jump on a call with you, huh?
no. That's I don't know. That is a very tough way to do this business.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I've noticed. I mean, with the YouTube channel right now, we get probably 4 to 5 people a day that shoot us a message just from the YouTube. Hey, what's the best agency to work with? Hey, are you guys recruiting? Like, it's huge. And for anyone that's watching this, that's like serious about building a business. Like I say it all the time. Most people don't actually take the advice, which is why I'm comfortable saying it because if everyone did, the competition would get a lot tougher. But start a YouTube channel and start talking about what you're doing as you're an agent. Like people will follow it and they'll be attracted to you and ultimately want to join whatever you're doing. So Jeff, if you were starting over today as an agent, what would be your steps to get back to where you are as fast as possible?
Ooh, good question. All right. So, number one, you have to be in the seat. I'm a big proponent that nobody should recruit in this business unless they're successful themselves. So, I would get in the hopper, when I say the hopper, when I get into our CRM, start taking calls, right? So we are heavily inbound call focused, and I would just get on the phones and build my business up until, okay, I've been in the trenches. I know the issues agents are having, and this is what I need to solve. Because if you're just somebody out there that can just give them a contract and leads that they can get anywhere, or a script that they can go get anywhere, there's nothing there. You have to have something about what you do that I call it specific knowledge, right? So you need to have this specific knowledge that you have that others don't, like these things that you know to be true that are drivers of your business, and you focus on those. And so I find those, but you can't do that unless you're in the trenches doing the work. And so I'd find those pieces, right? Whether it's a niche, whether it's this piece of technology, whether it's this, you know, right now, AI is big. We're having breakthroughs all the time with AI, and you have this thing that you can just focus on, and I don't want to say exploit. That's kind of a has a negative connotation to it, but that's what I would do. Get in the trenches, figure out that thing that works, and then focus on that thing that works, and get other agents to do it.
Got it. So kind of finding like your one, maybe not exploiting, but like I've heard people this can sound weird, but like you find whatever it is and then you just like you milk it all the way up, you know? Um whatever that thing is, like, back in the day, SEO was like huge. Now it kind of seems like SEO is dying quite a bit. But back in the day, like if you started a blog about life insurance, we both know Anthony Martin. That guy's built a multi-million-dollar business just off of writing blog posts about final expense. So it's like there are 100% those things today that people just, you know, they're not looking for them because they're so busy trying to just recruit and build this massive team of all these people.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Funny story about
Perfect.
Anthony Martin. We're good friends.
Uh-huh.
So one of the services that I had before starting Digital BJ was a website building service and teaching people how to blog and get leads. He
Mhm.
started his website from that service. So paying me a few $100s a month to show him how to blog about life insurance, and he just took it to the nth degree. And to me, he's the biggest success story for life insurance telesales. The guy,
Yeah.
the guy is the premier agent. in the business for final expense telesales, I should say.
Yeah. No, he's killing it. I reached out to him like a year ago, and super nice guy, very willing to share knowledge and whatnot. So very cool. Jeff, if people want to hear more about what you're doing, learn more about digital BGA, where can they reach out to you?
Digitalbga.com, our YouTube channel at digitalbga are the best places to get information. You can sign up for our newsletter on our website. We send a weekly newsletter that has our leaderboards, that has kind of updates on leads and things like that that are going on in our agency. Any sort of tech changes, things like that, things we're working on. So most people get our newsletter and keep in touch with us that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gents, appreciate you watching this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take
All right.
care.